Welcome to Movies, Music, Etc. We are your hosts. I'm Kyle, and this is Grant. And if you ate paint chips as a kid, then you're going to love today's episode, because today we're talking about Tommy Boy. So, Grant, stop playing with your dinghy and let's get started.
Can I uncover my eyes now, Dad?
For Christ's sake, Tommy, quit covering your eyes. So today, we're talking about Tommy Boy, which came out in 1995. Director Peter Siegel, writers Bonnie and Terry Turner,
Hey.
no relation, and produced by Lorne Michaels. Music is by David Newman. And Tommy Boy was considered a financial success that grossed $32.7 million on a $20 million budget. But the fun thing about that is it got very bad reviews from critics.
Well, I can't think of his name. Siskel, Ebert, one of the two. Peter Siskel is on his most hated list. He absolutely hates the movie.
That's just being hateful. But sales actually went skyrocket once you were able to actually rent the movie, because everyone was renting this movie. It was for I want to say for that summer it came out, because it came out in March, but that summer you were able to rent it, and it was the most out of stock movie at the rental store. Yeah, so but some of the cast members, as most of you probably know, is Chris Farley and David Spade. They've done quite a few movies together. But so we were talking the other week about Hollywood crushes. Bo Derek was probably everybody's.
The original reason that my dad watched the movie.
No, son, that's for me. Julie Warner, Dan Aykroyd, Brian Dennehy, Rob Lowe, even though uncredited, and we'll get into that later, and Lord Bagley. So now we're going to go over the summary of it, and I shouldn't have to say spoiler warning, because if you haven't seen it, I'm going to tell my associate here, Grant, to come hit you in the head with a tack hammer.
Because you are
he's a big dumb animal, living you folks. So, after his beloved father dies, dim-witted Tommy inherits a near-bankrupt automobile parts factory in Sandusky, Ohio. His brand new stepmom, Beverly, wants to cash out and close, but Tommy's sentimental attachment to his father's employees spurs him to make one last-ditch effort to find someone who will buy their products. With his father's tightly wound assistant, Richard, in tow, Tommy hits the road to spur up some new clients. So in 1995, I was 7, about to turn 8, I guess. And I know I didn't see this movie right away when it came out. It was probably a good year afterwards, but after we'd seen this movie, me and my buddies would rent it all the time, because we were like, oh, this guy is funny. And even the dumb little humor things, like him running into a door. in the very beginning, they have that nice soft tone music, they have a really nice story going on, and young Tommy is coming down out of the tree, and he's running to the back door, and bam, and he's like, oh man, son of a. and then it goes into the playful music, and that's indicating that you're gonna end up, it's gonna be a comedy. And then he does the whole montage of he's running away from this house, which is huge. I was I doubt this kid ever would have really rode the bus, but he's running through the yard.
I didn't even think of that.
The sprinklers turn on. He's like, oh man, and then he's running through bushes,
being chased by dogs.
He has to unlock his lunchbox to let the food fall out.
Nice doggy.
But me and my buddies watch this movie constantly, and we always said, "Oh, Schnikes," when something went wrong, and my parents were like, "We knew what you wanted to say."
Yeah.
You
I was 5 when the movie came out, going on 6 that year, and I honestly probably saw it for the first time when I was a teenager. And as soon as some of my friends started quoting the movie, I had no idea what they were talking about. Instead of renting it, I went out and bought it. So back in 02-ish, it was $13 on DVD.
Are you going to sit across from me and tell me that you went through your whole elementary school life not quoting Tommy Boy?
I never saw it until I was probably a freshman in high school. 8th grade summer, 7th grade summer, right around there.
You're the worst.
And it's easily one of the movies I've seen the most in my entire life.
Well, like a lot of the songs are pretty famous in the soundtrack. Like What I Say, when him and his father are singing that duet. Mm-hmm. It's a song by Ray Charles.
Oh, yeah, yep. It is. I love Ray Charles, and they do the best they can as a duet when they're singing it to sound like him, too.
Yeah, and it was weird because them both doing that. Everyone thought for the longest time that they were actually father and son because like they look similar. I didn't really see it. I just think Brian Dennehy can really play a part, and Chris Farley he has this good one niche, but it works. Yeah, and boy, do we miss it. But,
yeah.
But then another song, "Come On Eileen," it's like every drunken song someone sang in a karaoke bar once in their life.
Never knew all the words except for "Come On Eileen." Yeah. That was about it.
You didn't need to. No one else did either. But they're like when they're in the car and they're singing "End of the World" by REM. They can sing like that main part and they're like they both do it at the same time. It's like, yeah, that's literally everybody too. But like the song's probably the song's most notoriable song they have in a song was "Superstar" by the Carpenters, where they're switching back and forth.
Oh,
they're like,
yeah.
"No, this is real music." Oh, no, this is real music. And they're like, "Well, you can change it if you want." And then the next scene, they're like just belting it out. They're like, it's like crying. And then another big one in there is "I'm Sorry" by Brenda Lee. It's after when they're sitting,
right after
they're sitting in that diner. They're like, "I'm sorry,
so sorry." Right after he smacks him with the 2x4.
He goes, not here, but right here. No, I think I hit you in the shoulder. He grabs it. He goes, no, my shoulder's just fine.
Shoulder doesn't hurt. Good Lord, what happened to your face?
I knew it. Did you know that the lady that played Helen, do you know who that originally was going to go
to? I did see that it was supposed to be Roseanne Barr.
Yep. Do you know why, though?
Why it was supposed to be her?
Yeah.
No, I do not. Actually, probably because of her dining experience in the show Roseanne. That would be my guess.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she is a good waitress.
I don't know.
But, do you know how Chris Farley had a very big addiction problem?
Oh, yeah?
He was actually sober through this entire movie. And so, before this movie, he actually went to rehab, and Roseanne Barr actually took him there. Like, she was like, she's like, I care a lot about you, and she's going to take him there. And he was actually sober through this whole movie, but he drank copious amount of cappuccinos, just as like a trying to like cover things up.
Cappuccino and Diet Cokes.
Yeah, and so she was supposed to play in that part too.
I didn't know that was a reason or that she had done that.
Yeah, so it's a little fun fact early in the day. So now it's time for some fun facts. Are you ready, Grant?
Oh, been dying to get to this part.
You brush up on some fun facts, did you?
After rewatching the movie, yeah.
So
I definitely did.
So I had a lot of fun with this one. Like, it still took me a long time to get this outline up, but I watched the movie like twice, like in the last couple of days, and yeah. And I had to watch it again because there's a lot of stuff that like I'll be watching, and then I'll start laughing so hard, and then like something will happen after that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember that being funny too. So I'd like always rewind. So I probably have like 6 hours of viewing time for this movie.
Well worth it though.
Yes, but Peter Siegel, the director, he started directing and TV shows, and one of his first things he created himself was probably in 2002 was a CBS sitcom called Hidden Hills. It only lasted for like one season, but in 1995. He actually formed his production company called Callahan Filmworks along with his longtime producing partner, Michael Ewing. And some of his notable things he's directed is Naked Gun, 33 1/3.
Which is actually playing in the motel when Richard gets up to go shut the TV off. That's actually playing in the motel.
I did not notice that. And clearly Tommy Boy, what we're talking about. My Fellow Americans, Nutty Professor 2, Anger Management, 51st Dates, The Longest Yard, Get Smart, and Grudge Match are just a few of the ones he's produced or been a director of.
Quick question for you. Do you think that his work with Chris Farley, who was, excuse me, real good friends with Adam Sandler, helped him with those 3 very notable Adam Sandler movies that you just mentioned?
Well, probably, because, like...
Anger Management, 51st Dates, and The Longest Yard are all starring Adam Sandler. Unless you mean the original Longest Yard, but I don't think you do.
No.
Okay.
Adam Sandler wasn't in that one. But Burt Reynolds was. He was in both of them.
Yes, he was.
And then, so the producer, Warren Michaels, he was actually a producer and screenwriter, best known for creating and producing Saturday Night Live from 1975 to 1980, and then from 1985 to the present. He was producing late night series since 1983, and he's actually a producer of The Kids in the Hall. I don't know if you...
I've never seen Kids in the Hall.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, sitcom kind of things. Got sketches like...
kind of like All That?
No. Well, that's for kids.
Oh.
But it's more like Mad TV or...
Oh, okay.
That kind of stuff.
Or In Living Color?
Yes, In Living Color. And he also did The Tonight Show since 2014. But he has received 20 Primetime Emmy Awards from 94 nominations. And he's holding the record for being the most nominated individual in award show history. And he worked on Tommy Boy. And then your aunt and uncle, Bonnie and Terry Turner.
Oh, not Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie and Terry.
Is an American husband and wife team screenwriters and producers. They're best known for creating the sitcoms Third Rock from the Sun and That 70s Show. But from 1986 until 1992, they were a team of staff writers for Saturday Night Live. But between 1987, greatest year ever, I might add.
Second, whatever.
It is.
Probably the 3rd greatest year ever.
May 12th, 1987, greatest day ever.
Okay.
Well,
that's your opinion.
From 1987 to 1995, they are also responsible for writing and screenwriting 6 films, including Coneheads, Wayne's World 1 and 2, Tommy Boy, and The Brady Bunch. Which
the Brady Bunch is the only one in there that doesn't have any ties to Saturday Night Live actors that you just mentioned.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's a fact.
I know. I didn't watch it. The Brady Bunch. Every time I see it, it's because Martian.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Brady Bunch movie. I guess I don't know for a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know for a fact if there's been a cast member on Saturday Night Live that was in the Brady Bunch.
I could see Chris Farley having a chauffeur license, driving a bus somewhere.
He's done that.
But they're just damn bus around. But Tommy Boy and a 1994 horror film, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, was actually dedicated to a Greg Francesca, who died 8 months before the release of Tommy Boy, but Fresca did not work on either of the films. He just served as a production designer as of the first 2 Nightmare on Elm Street films, as well as Coneheads in both Wayne World movies, which is like Tommy Boy. They were produced by Lorne Michaels.
So I don't want to get too far off subject, but you said the first 2 Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah.
The original Nightmare on Elm Street is Johnny Depp's first movie. Continue.
Who did Johnny Depp play in that?
He was the pizza delivery boy.
He was?
Yep.
Well, now I gotta go back and watch it.
Well, foreshadowing for our next episodes this month.
Well, it's like... it's weird when you bring something like that up, because one of the first movies I ever seen Leonardo DiCaprio in was this movie called Critters.
It's like a kind of a Gremlins knockoff, isn't it?
Pretty much. But, like, so I remember, like, I was going to, like, so we always go rent movies and stuff like that. We rent one at a time, all these, and we're like, oh man, it's such a good story. It was horrible writing, and they actually recreated it. They're making a reboot.
In my opinion, another fun fact, Leonardo DiCaprio is born on the greatest day of the year, every year. November 11th.
Yeah, you brought this up last week.
Oh. And he
no
got
one
his...
put in the comments that they cared, so.
Oh. Sorry. And he actually got his first big break on Growing Pains.
I remember that show. Was his dad like a truck driver that like, left him there?
No, that was Boy Meets World. Sean.
That was not Boy Meets
Anyway.
World. But anyway, you know how I said Rob Lowe wasn't credited? Even though he was actually in the movie quite a bit. He was uncredited because they were stalled on production on another thing he was working on for ABC's miniseries adaptation to The Stand. A Stephen King novel. Okay. They had it was like a 4-part series that came on, but to get him because he wasn't supposed to star in anything else because they couldn't go back and because he wasn't allowed to divide his time. So the way they got around that legally was to say he was uncredited into the film. But Rob Lowe was saying in an interview not too long ago, that he jokes about how it only took 15 years for the public to notice it,
to realize that he was in the movie. Did you know that it got so bad at one point that they thought about refilming all the things that he's already filmed and putting Matthew McConaughey in his spot?
I did see Matthew McConaughey was supposed to be was going to be in there, but at the time Rob Lowe was Hollywood's hot guy and stuff like that, and he was ever going to give up the chance to kiss Bo Derek.
Right.
Which, fun fact, she only has 13 lines in the whole movie.
Really?
Yeah. But, you know how when you see her coming out of the pool?
Yep.
And he's like, oh, Schnikes. Yeah.
Is that for me too, Dad?
No, that's for me. So. But you see how she has short hair?
Yep.
And when she walks out, Tommy's like, Dad, she's 10. She actually played in a movie called 10, way back in the 1970s.
With Tommy's dad, right? The guy that plays Tommy's dad? I'm pretty sure he's in the movie too.
Oh. Look at that.
She's a bartender, right?
I've never seen it. It came out in the 70s. But, yeah, the reason she has short hair is because her husband, extremely jealous guy, made her cut her hair before she went to the set, so no one would
recognize her,
just eye Google her and all that. It's stupid and petty, but everyone still thought she was hot.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd thought so. even after he heard she's putting on a con on this multi-millionaire guy, he's like, oh, this has made me hungry. You want to go out to dinner? Yeah. Good job, Zelensky. But there's actually another writer on there. His name's Fred Wolf. He was actually a script writer for Saturday Night Live also. But he only came in for touch-ups and stuff like that. But they liked what he did so well that he ended up being the writer for Farley and Spade's next movie, which is Black Sheep.
Which, instead of a dim-witted son, it's a dim-witted brother.
Yeah.
Still a great movie.
Like I said, he plays the character very well. But,
yes, he does.
Did you know Farley and Spade actually didn't get along too well? There's a lot of weird tension.
Yeah.
Because in the scene from Tommy Boy, the girl in the pool, not the stepmom, but the girl in the pool when they're at the hotel.
Okay.
And Tommy, that's where the gym's at. That's Lori Bagley. They actually both dated her at one point in time. So
that's the only reason you included her on the cast, is because of her one scene in her one line that says, "No, sorry, I don't." And then she jumps in the pool. She's
gorgeous.
Well, yeah. But you only see her from a distance, for the most part.
Well, speaking of no one looking. That's where we find out where Richard, Black Sox finger vision, and that she probably dates someone from the Yankees.
It's a pretty girl down there.
But that's not the only time that them two have had a spat. Like, they'd had some arguments during Tommy Boy 2, where Chris Farley was extremely jealous if Rob Lowe hung out with David Spade without him.
It's because he idolized Rob Lowe at the time.
Yeah, well, and I could see, like, Chris is coming out. He's, like, sober the whole time. He's probably,
oh, right.
just a little bit jealous, and, like, there was a...
They would go out to the bar, and Farley wouldn't go with them. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, yeah, they went out to, like, a nice dinner.
Yeah.
And the next day... David Spade was talking about there in the makeup chairs, and you can see Chris Farley looking at him through the mirror. He's like, he has just this certain look on his face, and he looks at him, he's like, why is he mad at me? And he just kept looking at me, he goes, how's Rob? How's Rob? Why
don't you go ask Rob? Yeah, I could definitely see the petty jealousy.
Rob. But Rob Lowe was actually on Joe Rogan not too long ago, and he was talking about his experiences on the movie. And he said he took everyone out for a nice steak dinner, and he said the kind of person Farley was. He got 2 bone-in T-bones, and like he's like every single piece that he cut off the steak, he'd put a big old glob of butter on top of it and eat it. And he said he looked at him, he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And he goes, Chris Farley looked at him and goes, "What? It needs a hat." But one of the famous incidents that was on the set of Tommy Boy, it was when Farley became angry and violent with his co-star and close friend after finding out Spade had gone out with Lowe the night before, without inviting him. Farley reportedly taunted Spade about hanging out, and he stomped on his hand, and Spade threw his Diet Coke at him.
Yeah, and said he would never work on the set again.
Yeah,
they would. It wasn't the only time, but they would. Numerous times they wouldn't talk to each other face to face. They'd go through other actors or Peter Siegel.
Yeah, it kind of breaks my heart to know now.
It really does, because they were so great together, and they were such good friends on Saturday Night Live. And I guess you just assume that they were, because they were in everything together on SNL and then in Tommy Boy and Black Sheep.
But they shared an office when they were writers together on Saturday Night Live, and that's where the fat guy little coat comes from. Is because they'd sit in the office and they'd be sitting there bored, and Chris Farley put on David Spade's jacket, and he'd be like, turn around, and David Spade wouldn't turn around. He'd be like, if you're doing fat guy little coat, I'm not turning around. He goes, no, it's something completely different. And then he'd turn around, he's like, fat guy little coat. And so there was another writer in that room who was like a consultant on this movie, and so they're like, dude, we gotta put this in there. But then in the movie, he actually rips the jacket. And when I was younger, we were watching this, I had 2 friends who were much bigger than me, because all my friends back then were bigger than me.
Yeah.
Even all my friends' little brothers were bigger than me. But they would always put on a shirt of mine. They're like, "There goes the coat." And I'd be like, "Don't ruin that! I know how this ends."
We just watched the movie.
I was like, "No, I like that shirt." But, at several points in the movie, Farley, instead of saying, "oh shit," he goes, "Oh, Schnike." That's actually something Chris Farley says in real life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where they got that from. But, so they took a lot of, clearly they took a lot of stuff from this movie that came from real life experience that people would see.
Yeah.
Because did you know that when they started filming this movie, they only had 33 pages of the script wrote out?
Really?
Yeah.
33. So okay, I did not know that.
Maybe 15 minutes of the movie, technically. So the producer or then the director went to the writers and they're like, "Hey, we gotta go on this movie. We got a green light. Here's the script. You need to start finishing it." And so the writers were like, well, it's nice that we got to be part of this movie, but like we're writing a movie that we don't have an end for yet, and all these actors and the director.
Not to mention, most of them were writing on the sketch show every week, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and so they talked about how they're like, we were filming a movie that we didn't even know the end to yet, so like it was hard to, I can see how that's
basically
really
writing as they were going.
Yeah, and everyone said, because they had a super hectic schedule. David Spade, he said they had, because they filmed most of it in Toronto and some in Los Angeles, but they had to fly back to New York every week for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And for them, they were extremely busy. But they had their own little charter plane. It was like one of those little biplane kind of things.
Like he flies in on in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, something like that. David Spade said, he goes, I called it a private jet because I wanted to be cool. But everyone thought this was going to ruin the movie, but the writers were like, oh my god, no, this is giving us time, because these two, like, they didn't have to do a bunch of takes on things. They ended up doing a bunch of takes just to give the writers time. And then another thing they kept redoing was Chris Farley. He did a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah.
And one of the most notable things he does is when he's talking to his old rugby buddies at the college, and he's like, just stops, falls flat onto that table. Well, they had to do that like 6 times. Because the guy, not because like Farley couldn't break a table properly from passing out, because it was awesome every day.
It's huge.
He's just like, and he commits to it. Like, if you watch it, his arms stay to his side, and he just, boom, face hits the ground, and it's glorious. But the guys around, they kept laughing, which they wanted, but they wanted like them to do a stoner laugh, like a stoner fake laugh.
Oh, okay.
but
they're just so loud.
and they're like, Tommy,
instead of a genuine laugh, they wanted a fake.
Yeah, they wanted like, which they eventually got, but like, McFarley had to go through this table like 6 times. Which they said he was in pretty good spirits for. They're like, you wouldn't believe how athletic this guy is. He has just so much energy.
Well, that he wears a Marquette rugby jacket in the movie. He actually played rugby at Marquette.
Yeah,
that's where he went to college there.
Yep, that's actually one of the fun facts they have on here. But I would probably say it's safe to say he didn't really squeak by with a D plus in every 201 after attributing to the signing of the Declaration of Independence to Herbie Hancock. But speaking of him squeaking by with a D plus, if you look closely, you can when they rip
post the grades.
They post all the grades. He has some famous people in his class, which you brought up earlier. That Michael Jackson was on there.
He got a D plus also.
He got a D plus. Little Debbie was on there. You couldn't see her grade because of like the screenshot, but there was somebody who did fail and got a worse grade than Tommy, which they got an F, and that was Helen Keller.
She probably couldn't hear the professor.
No.
Or see what he was writing down.
I was really hoping you were going to make a joke about how she didn't like go through history. I was like, you garbage. But oh my gosh, I can't remember the movie of it, but they're like, isn't she deaf and dumb? You're like, Anne Frank? Oh, it's Clerks. He talks to me, he goes, Anne Frank? He goes, no.
Never seen Clerks.
Yeah, it's one of those like little cult movies, but
right.
He talks about how he's like, what about that deaf and dumb girl? Like she became famous. He went and talked around. He goes, Anne Frank? He goes, no, Helen Keller. He goes, I don't think that's right. But, oh my goodness! But like I said, Bo Derek, she was only there for filming for maybe 2 days, and she only had 13 lines. But actually, Dan Aykroyd was only there for shooting for 2 full days. He was a busy guy at the time as well.
Right, another Saturday Night Live alum.
Yep. So.
He delivers one of the best lines of the movie too, in my opinion. After Rob Lowe goes through that car crash and has the weight.
I was trying to remember his letter he sends.
and it says, give him a bottle of champagne, say, tough luck, kid, ice on your marbles, get drunk on me.
Z. No, man. I was trying to remember that because he says it super quick, and Dan Aykroyd's known for like his quick talking and stuff like that, and a lot of his things. Like, that's why he was so good in the Coneheads.
Yeah.
Ice your marbles, get drunk on me. Z.
Ice down your marbles, get drunk on me. Z.
I really like. It's I would love to see where Chris Farley is at if he was still alive today.
It's hard telling. You know, he'd have been in a bunch of cameos in the Adam Sandler movies like he was before.
Yeah, like
probably a big role. He might have had Kevin James's role in Grown Ups. To be honest with you, because there's a lot of Saturday Night Live SNL guys in there. No offense to Kevin James, I just think that Farley would have played a heftier role, pun intended.
But as we all know, Tommy Boy is actually just one of those movies. Everyone likes it so much, not for the comedy, but there's so many like quotable lines from it.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's like, you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up the bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. It's like Tommy
bull's ass.
Yeah, but Tommy's dad could always say it correctly, but Tommy would always butcher it. He was like, hey, I'll tell you what, you can get a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but I would rather take the bull's word for it, or something like. And then he goes on, and the guy's like looking at him. He's like, I don't.
Oh, it's gotta be your bull.
He's like, I'm not quite. He goes, wait, you just put your head up a bull's ass. And he's like, I'm not making the connection. So he goes, wait, it's gotta be your bull. And he's like, you're derailing. Shut up, Richard.
Shut up, Richard.
And then he goes into the whole rant about, like, my life sucks. My dad
killed
died.
Bambi.
He just killed Bambi. We haven't made a sale. Like, that whole movie is, like, super quotable, but...
And then they cut to they're in the car, him and Richard, right after that scene, and he goes, I can't believe he called me a psycho. And he goes, were you in there just now? You are a psycho. And comb your hair, and he's got his hair on his forehead sticking straight up.
Speaking of that deer, so they had 4 of the Plymouth GTXs. That's the car that David Spade drives, and
melted chocolate in the dash. That really ups the resale value.
Yeah, really. He's like, it has a thin peanut shell. I bet you didn't know that. I'm surprised you didn't know that. He goes, you got a thick skull. You got
a thick candy shell. I think your brain has a thick candy shell.
It's like, good one, Rich. Shut up, Richard.
Your brain has a shell on it.
But to get like some of those parts was clearly when the deer's busting out all the windows.
Yeah.
It was a guy in like a suit busting it out, but then they actually had a real deer, like
trained
to like rip up some of the stuff and then stand there and be used to that car. So they went to like a deer farm and they just parked it in the middle of this field for a bunch of days and just let deer get comfortable with it being around. And they originally weren't going to have a shot of the deer on the car when it jumps off and runs, but like,
really,
yeah. But they were like, it was weird because like one deer kept climbing in and out of that car, and so they're like, oh, we got to put it
perfect.
in.
That's perfect. I didn't know. That's awesome.
So speaking of the other part of this movie, so when they just Rob Lowe's character went and screwed up all the shipping. Manifest.
When he gets his shirt sucked off.
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, when
is it chilling here?
Throws his jacket. I was like, man, this guy is so cool. But he changes all the shipping addresses.
Yep.
And a bunch of people cancel their orders, so they're drinking, just driving, and they end up getting like the cops are gonna come in. And they're like, they do the bee thing, and they get out and they're like, oh my god.
That's one thing I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to be sober when I wanted to try it. So
funny story.
Just to see if it would be plausible at all.
I've never done it with cops, but as you say, I was, it was an elementary school movie for me.
Yeah.
So me and my buddies were like, we were trying to get in trouble. We were trying to do things to get the
authoritarian
I don't know, they always had like teachers walk around on recess to make sure you weren't being a little asshole and stuff like that.
Right, like, okay, so the authoritarian figure.
Yeah, so me and my buddies, we tried for like 2 weeks straight to try to get yelled at, try to like them to come storming out, and like no one would pay attention to us, so we got in a fake fight. And that's when one of the teachers started running. I was like, no. And then we did the whole bee skit. And the one lady comes up and she just grabs this bowl. She's like, you don't think I've seen that damn movie? And she drags us away to the principal's office. They're like, these guys are fist fighting. And then we had to sit there and explain to the principal, like, what are you guys fighting about? I was like, we weren't really fighting. They're like, what the hell are you doing then? I was like, we were reenacting a scene from Tommy Boy. And the principal started laughing.
That's awesome.
But there was another time.
Oh, there's more than one.
Yeah, it was probably about 6 months later. I was like, we didn't really plan on doing it.
Way to give it time to marinate.
Yeah, so we were like deeking around, doing the same shit. We were like, oh, let's pretend fight. And because we were playing Power Rangers or some dumb shit, you know. And soon enough, this guard, the authority person, started running at us, and I was like, oh, let's do the bee thing. So we started screaming, oh my god, there's bees, there's bees. That person stopped immediately.
No.
And I was like, so we kept going, and then we ended up like laying down, and then the person creeped up on us. I was like, oh, just kidding. You know, and they're like, and then we got in a lot of trouble for faking that, but I was like, nowadays I think back on it, like, they were just gonna let us get stung to death. You know, like,
your firearms are useless against them.
I'm allergic to bees.
Me too. Roll around. It tells you roll around on the ground.
But you're like, I think, like I said, I think about it back now, and I'm thinking, I was like, they were just gonna let us get stung. Like, I was like, I get it. Like, that's not my kid, but I was like, there's two of us. Just at least grab one of us. One of us can tell the story.
Right?
They're like, yeah, it was dangerous. There's like 1,000 of them. And, you know, Andrew got stung like 15 times. And I was like, my friend's dying. And they're dragging me away. And I'm like clawing at the ground like, don't leave him behind. You know, I was like, I don't know. I wanted to be dramatic and have, you know, win an Emmy myself.
Right. So, going back to you saying that Farley was sober at the time, after just getting out of rehab, going into that, I wonder if David Spade was actually drinking in the car, or if it was just for the movie, because he says that without Callahan Auto Parts, the town's going to dry up, and it'll be like shooting fish in a barrel. The town's the fish, the people are the barrel. That's how he says it. He messes that quote up. And then...
Oh, you think he legitimately got drunk?
Yeah. Okay. And then he throws up all over the place.
I gotta throw up. No, don't do that. Actually, speaking of awards, they had 3 nominations. They had 2 nominations at the MTV Movie Awards, and they won for Best On-Screen Duo for David Spade and Chris Farley, and they were nominated for Best Comedic Performance. And I was trying to find what beat that out, but I couldn't. But they were also nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress, which was Bo Derek. Why would you do that to me?
Well, maybe she got Worst Supporting Actress because she really doesn't play a role besides Rob Lowe's mom / wife / whatever.
Mommy likey. Don't call me that. It's creepy. If you're gonna be a bad boy, I'll treat you like one.
Oh,
it's like ooh. But
also that movie. After that, like right after that scene where you just said that line, I already knew not to pee on an electric fence, but. It kind of solidified my reasoning.
No, so I knew that was a bad idea, but I always wondered if, like, you could get blasted back like that. Because I'd always tell my buddies, I'm like, this is an electric fence, pee on it. And, like, it was clearly not an electric fence, but stupid, dumbass kids were like,
right?
I don't know, maybe.
Give it a whirl.
Well, like, you know, some of the other quotes that come back to The movie is when he picks him up from the airport. He's like, yeah, did you hear I graduated? Richard's like, yeah, just shy of a decade too, all right. He goes, yeah, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. And Richard's like, I know, they're called doctors. And I was like, oh god, man, you guys are funny.
Just ruthless. And he goes, I thought my dad was supposed to pick me up from the airport. Well, apparently Tommy missed his earlier flight than he was supposed to.
I did, I called.
Oh yeah, what number did you call? 24? And then he skips a few numbers. He goes 6, 8, 9.
It's like, what'd you call from a walkie-talkie?
No, but the best part is everybody stops. He actually answers Richard and he says, no, it was a cordless.
Yeah, it was a cordless.
It was a cordless.
In 1995, I was like, that's probably pretty around. Like, big Tom's boy.
Big Tom.
He probably had a cordless one. But okay, like, you know how I told you earlier, like I was watching the movie, I started laughing so hard, and then something else would come up. But then when they're showing the banker around the brake pad division, and Tommy's like dodging all the things. He's like, Tommy, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just here checking the specs of the end line for the rotary grind. I'm retarded.
But he goes, I need equity before I can even turn these machines on, and Tommy hits the power button. Like, they don't have the equity yet, and he's turning the machine on.
Yeah,
and
he's like, oh, you're coming at me fast.
Oh, boo.
Which, if I was there, I'd be like, dodging it too. I'd be like, woo, woo. Most dude, one of these things are going to catch you on your jowl.
Put one of these on hard hat.
Yeah, he's like, you get hit in the head here, they'll be scooping your brain out like a damn soup ladle, you know? And they're like, what? And then Tommy walks right into the Ford truck. Son of a... Oh, that's going to leave a mark. Which, you know where he got that line from? Belushi.
Oh,
yeah.
Jim. No, John.
John
Belushi.
Yeah, he's like, that's something he always said. He's like, it was just a notable thing, like when he's out on the boat.
Another Saturday Night Live.
Really should like some wind here. Those kids. Hey, looks like your sales lift just like your... Oh, you watch it, punks. Watch your...
You better pray to the gods of skinny punks that this wind doesn't pick up, because I'll come over there and jam an oar up your ass. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Ooh. Watch your language in front of the lady, punk. I say that a lot.
And then they start going, listen up, you little spazoids. I know where you live and I know where you sleep. Your mothers will cry at everything I've ever like all the
done to you.
And they're like, and she looks at him like kind of embarrassed. And he's like, that was awesome. Oh, smooth.
Just easily quotable, easily relatable also. Blue collar town, blue collar. I mean, for us anyway, we're very
if David Spade and Chris Farley weren't friends, a lot of these quotes would be super offensive to him. He's like, when he has that suit on, he goes, does this suit make me look fit? He goes, no, your face does. I don't laugh so hard.
Or when they're at the wedding, and he finally comes and gets Tom, and he's like, they're ready for you. And he's like, how do we look? And David Spade goes, chubby.
That's
the champagne talking.
So yeah, you know when they go up to that table, and you got Chris Farley there. Did you know his two real brothers are actually at that table with him?
I didn't know. What? Is it, oh, okay. No, I didn't know.
At the wedding, before he walks up and he goes, "Hey, they're ready for you."
Yeah.
And Tommy sits around, turns around. There's two other guys at the table. Those are actually his real brothers.
His real brother. Oh. Yeah. So they kind of cameo. Gotcha.
I'm gonna have a brother? I've always wanted a brother.
Yeah, how do you think those two felt?
He goes, what is there to do in this town? And he goes, well, there's tons to do in this town. And he's talking about going down to the 4-H club, picking up some
Cruise
girls.
up the 4-H babes.
And then they go, which is actually a fun fact, like the cow tipping scene, that came from Rob Lowe.
Really?
Yeah, because the writers have never heard of that.
Of cow tipping?
Yeah. And so, like, it was kind of funny because in the movie, they're like, he goes, I want the one on the left. And he goes, does it matter? He's like, yeah.
Oh, she's a beaut.
She's a beaut. And they turn around, they're in a cow field. He goes, you gotta stay between the udder and the front. He goes, put pork belly onto what? And then it like falls into it. But he's like,
he stomps on his face.
he goes, none of this strikes you as being dumb? He goes, we're brothers. We're going to do a lot of dumb stuff together.
Wait till Christmas.
Yeah, wait till Christmas. Oh my god. So I highly recommend people go back and watch this movie because you're still going to laugh. You're still going to have a good time.
Oh, it's hilarious. I have a fun fact also that you might not know.
Lay it on me.
Alright, so the whole scene where they stop to get gas and fill up with, they're supposed to get oil and then fill up with gas, and Tommy breaks the door on Richard's car.
Did you know that was on accident?
I did not. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But Richard walks into the convenience store or the gas station store and asks how far Davenport is from where they're at. And he says 22 mile. There's banter, sarcasm, laid on pretty thick.
I'm detecting some sarcasm. Yeah, laid on pretty thick.
I had to look it up because I was confusing. It was bugging me. There's only one town that's 22 miles away from Davenport, and it's Hillsdale, Illinois.
Hillsdale. I was wondering this too. I was going to look this up, but I was like...
See, and after I found out that most of the filming had been done in Toronto, I didn't know, like, if they'd done the research or not, so I was going to be like, hey, there's really no town that's exactly 22 miles away. Mm-hmm. But there is, and it's Hillsdale, Illinois.
And they pass, like, Duluth, pass, like, what's a real town, and...
You can go through signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Chicago and the Chicago scene. He goes, when he was like, "All right, this is only going to take a minute." Everyone gets down, throws their guns, and then the news reporter's like, "After he hit me many times in the head with a hammer, I had to give up my gun. I got children.
I got a wife and kids. I have a family.
I got a family."
Another fun. One thing that always kind of stuck out to me that cracked me up is after Richard picks him up from the airport, they're in the car, and he's eating a bag of M&Ms, and the bag looks like a velociraptor tore into it. But you know that there's a barcode on there that they could have scanned the price on there. On the bag of M&Ms, it says 69 cents. And for that big of a bag of M&Ms, well, now would not be 69 cents. And it's written in magic marker, so I think that might be an homage to the, face to genital region.
I'm not making this connection, but I'm interested on how you got there.
Also, another quote he says, Tommy talks about, is with the lady at the loading dock, and he talks about her brother going to school with her brother, and they go down to the 7-Eleven to steal donuts, and he ends up being a cop, and she offers him a donut, and he goes, "No, I got what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem." My nephew, Jason, got in an accident last year, and the nurses and the doctors asked him to touch his toes. Sitting up in bed, they asked him to touch his toes, and he goes, "I couldn't do that before the accident. I got what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem." So that line just makes me laugh and crack up even more.
So your nephew had a better childhood than you.
Well, yeah,
He seemed Tommy boy.
Before I did. Yeah, you're right.
I blamed that on his cool mom.
Okay.
I was grabbing bear claws 2 at a time. They would just get launched right here. Oh man.
Also, when he first starts doing his job, there's a problem on the loading dock. And he says,
the guy he lost his virginity to?
His daughter. Yeah.
Right, you were there.
But he goes down and he goes, "I think I figured out your shipping situation, your shipping problem." He goes, this shipment's going to Columbus. That's a 1-day delivery, and you have it down for 2. And the guy looks at him and he says, it's to Columbus, Georgia, not Columbus, Ohio. You see those letters behind there? It's called a state. And he tells Tommy to go back to college for another 7 years and study a globe. Later on in the movie, while they're looking to go to McKeesport, Richard calls him Magellan. Hey, where's Moron? Moron's here. Look, Magellan is right here. Magellan is the first person to, or his crew. He didn't make it all the way around the world, but his crew is the first crew to circumnavigate the globe. I just thought that was kind of funny and probably had no relation, but
back in '95, there's clever writers. Like nowadays, it's really hard to find like a clever writer. So my hat's off to the whole crew who put this whole entire movie together. It's definitely held the test of time, and like I said, it's super sad. And
hard to believe it's only been 26 years.
When you put it like that, I'm like, man, I was a baby when, well, not a baby, like I said, I was 7 or 8, but stood the test of time, and there's big names in the. It's really sad seeing Chris Farley gone for sure, but
way too early.
Yeah, but that's all I got. I had a lot of fun putting this episode together. I watched the movie twice, but I had to rewind a bunch. I have 6 hours of viewing into this because and I really missed it. It was really good, and I miss seeing those guys together, and it was actually.
Also, did you know, if we're in closing, one last thing, Chris Farley wanted either or Adam Sandler or David Spade or both of them in the movie. And Adam Sandler was their first choice to play Richard. But he was already filming Billy Madison at the same time. So that's why Spade jumped in. But Farley wanted both of them. That's
how Rob Lowe actually got on the cast too. He was going to play the role of Richard, but he had his obligations to stand. But he really wanted to be a part of this project, so they got that role for him. But so that was really good. I enjoyed the movie. It's going to last the test of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to make my kids watch it with me all the time. I don't care if they get it or not. They'll grow into the humor.
They will.
But thank you for joining us today. Make sure you tune in to after the episode and like, share, comment. Tell us what you think.
Tell your friends.
Can I unclose my eyes now?